Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, my Yu-Gi-Oh players. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody who checked out the first episode of this series. We actually had a lot of views at the time of recording this. We have over 160 views, which, as I am not a dedicated Yu-Gi tuber, that's actually pretty good for me. So I appreciate everybody that checked it out. So we've got episode 2 of our competitive Cyber Dragon series, I guess you could call it. Our regional prep series. There we go. That's a better title for it. So today we're going to be talking about a new build of Cyber Dragon that I've been messing around with, trying out new things. The build, it's got some spice. It clashes a little bit, just a little bit, but its OTK potential is insanity. Like the way I designed the deck, you know, let's just get into the deck and I'll explain when we see it. Alright, so here's the deck, you guys. We're playing branded Cyber Dragons. Now, I know that this was a deck that some people messed around with when it first came out, but I decided to take a second look at it, especially with cards like Duality coming in. And I've been having a lot of fun with the deck. The only issue I've been running into that it clashes a little bit is obviously Infinity is an extremely powerful XYZ. And if we use something like Braided Fusion, we're locked out of being able to summon our XYZs. But that is the only clash it really has. The deck still definitely prefers to go second, still doesn't have a great first turn board, but Blazing Cartesia plus Duality gives us Dragoon, and if we open up our Cyber Dragon package, we can actually end on Infinity as well. So those two together are actually pretty solid. Now let's just talk about the deck build real quick. Our goal with the Cyber Dragon package is to use it and its incredible board break potential, because Cyber Dragon can snap almost any board. And then using Branded Fusion is already a 1-card OTK in Cyber Dragon. So our goal is to snap our opponent's board and put them to sleep. So we're playing 2 Jizukiru, searchable Kaiju. We're playing Eltanin. We have 4 cards that can search Eltanin, and then of course we have the 3 core that can search the cards to search Eltanin. And we could literally normal summon core, add emergency, grab Eltanin, banish the 1 core, summon Eltanin, do our play, go for game. We're running 1 Therion King Regulus because we are running 2 Clockwork Knights, and people love to negate Clockwork Knight, and then once it's in the grave you just grab a Therion King, and now you have an Omni Negate. We're only running 2 Cyber Dragons. I would knock it down to 1, but because of the way the Braided Fusion combo works, we want to make sure that there's always 1 because it hurts. And if we have the chance to make it an Infinity, we don't want to actually lose out on that. Galaxy Soldier is also still dope in here because we have plenty of light monsters. Even Blazing Cartesia is a light monster. We have to run our 2 Albaz. I just realized that's in a different language. That's hilarious. We need Albaz because of Branded Fusion. We only run the 2 because there's so many ways to recycle it. Blazing Cartesia is probably my favorite card in the Branded engine. It is a pseudo starter because you basically fuse it with any light monster to make Grang and Yol. If you use Branded Fusion, you could then special summon it because you'll have an Albaz in the graveyard. She's fantastic. Obviously 3 core gets us all our searches. We're actually running 3 Hertz. Hear me out. Core is not the best Cyber Dragon support card. It's actually Cyber Dragon Hertz. If you send Cyber Dragon Hertz to the graveyard for any reason, you get to search a Cyber Dragon. It gives us our recursion with our baby Cyber Dragons in the grave. It gets us a Cyber Dragon out of deck if we need a special summon in Contact Away. It's such a versatile card, and a lot of strats end up revolving around this card. And that's why we're running it at 3. We're not running Naxter because we don't have as many targets as we normally would, being that our only targets are basically Cyber Dragon, maybe Cyber Twin, and Infinity and Nova if we happen to go into them, which doesn't always happen. We are playing 3 Fusion Deployment. This is another starter card for us because we can actually use it to get either Fallen of Albaz if we need to fuse our opponent's stuff away, Blazing Cartesia if we need to get into our starting play, or Cyber Dragon again if we need a contact fuse. It's actually a great card for this deck, and we have plenty of targets to search for it. I'm opting to play 2 Lightning Storm because the only thing this deck has a little bit of a problem with is back row, because we have almost no back row removal. Monsters, forget about it. We can blow away just about any field, but back row we need the Lightning Storm. That's why we also have 3 Cosmic Cyclones in the side. Obviously 3 Branded Fusion. I'll explain real quick the Branded Fusion combo. That's an OTK every time. So you Branded Fusion, you send Albaz and Hertz. To get Albion, you activate Albion's effect, chaining Cyber Dragon Hertz to it. Cyber Dragon Hertz searches you Cyber Dragon, and then with Albion, since Albion can fuse Graveyard or Hand, you fuse the Hertz that you just sent with the Cyber Dragon you just added to get Rampage or Cyber Twin. I think Cyber Twin's a little bit short, 56. Nope, that's 81. Yeah, it's 81. Or you can get Rampage, so you can dump a bunch of cards, which ends up being 84, 86. I'm sorry, I can't math. No, 88. Which again, OTK. Emergency gets us all our Cyber Dragon pieces, gets us Eltanin. Repair Plant gets us, again, all of our pieces, gets us Jizakira, gets us Galaxy Soldier. We still run it at the 1. Duality. In this build, Duality doubles as not only a protection card, it's a protection card, a draw engine, an OTK card, because we can swap out our fusions for other fusions to be able to keep on punching. The card is just fantastic. This card was like made for Cyber Dragons. Cyberload Fusion. Alright, if you guys look at my last video, I actually didn't have Cyberload Fusion in the deck because I always had problems with Cyberload. But in this build, I kept missing it. I tried testing the deck without it, and it's a searchable OTK piece. Especially in this build, because you're banishing Cyber Dragon so much with all your fusion plays that you always have material for Cyberload Fusion. It's almost never a dead card. It kept on being dead in OG Cyber Dragon because you either needed the Cyber Dragons on the board or banished, and we don't have a whole lot of ways to banish them. So it's like, why would I search this when I can search, something to get me a combo out? Clockwork Knight for contact fusion plays, searches out an Earth Machine, Arthurion King. Imperm, still the best trap card in the game in my opinion. It also doubles as a board breaker because you could just save it during your opponent's turn until your turn and just negate a monster. And then Cybernetic Overflow is for going first. I was trying out the Window Lock, again, courtesy of Machio, YGO, this was his combo. Basically, if you open up Cartesia and any light monster and Duality, you can end on Dragoon plus Winda, which is a fantastic combo. Super easy to pull off if you have the cards. But I kept on not running into the cards, and it just ended up being a dead combo. You basically have to either open up a Fusion deployment or Cartesia. I don't know if it was me or if this engine just hates me, but I never saw them. So I opted to go with Overflow because there were times where I would have a search and be like, cool, I use Emergency this turn. Cool, I use Repair Plant this turn. I already have Cyberload. It's like, what do I even want to search? At the very least, going first, you can search Overflow for a pop. And if you open up Overflow and Cyberload Fusion, that's like the best turn 1 Cyber Dragon can do, not to mention anything else that we can do. Now, as far as the extra deck goes, we got Eternity Dragon. Big body, can't be target destroyed if you have a machine fusion in the graveyard, but the big reason we're using it is for his second effect. If he's in the graveyard, you can banish him. This only applies during your turn, but all of your fusions, not just machines, all of your fusions cannot be targeted or destroyed for the entire turn. They can't imperm it, they can't, God forbid, they can't mirror force it. It is just, it ends up helping, especially with Grang and Yule, because you can just send this with Grang and Yule. And then if this fusion summon card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Cyber Dragon from your hand, deck or graveyard, which sometimes comes up. Obviously, Mega Fleet, contact fusion target. People still use Link monsters all the time. People still sometimes summon Synchros, fusions, and whatnot into the extra monster zone, knowing that Cyber Dragon is a deck, and I don't get why they do it. Dragoon. Dragoon is basically here for Duality and Grang and Yule. Grang and Yule is a level 8 light spellcaster, and we can Duality into Red Eyes Dragoon. I haven't found a target that I really like for Grang and Yule's second effect, its graveyard effect, which summons a monster if my opponent summons a monster. It's either a Dogmatter monster from deck or a Despia monster from the extra deck. I might try to make room, I haven't decided yet. Albion. I haven't got to mess around with this card too much. The one time I did, I misplayed super hard. But the reason I think it's cool is because, just an example, you can summon Fallen of Albaz to your side of the field, either summon a material to your opponent's side of the field to immediately fuse Fallen of Albaz, or, being that we're playing Cyber Dragon, you can send a Cyber Dragon to their side of the field, and then on your turn, contact fuse it. Or, if they summon in, like a monster to the extra monster zone, you can contact fuse their board with their monsters. You basically can set yourself up, and it can't be targeted, and huge 3025. It's a blue eyes. Obviously, Mary Jade, we all know Mary Jade. Cyber Twin, we all know Cyber Twin. We're playing Cyberloop, so of course we're playing Cyber Twin. Rebellion. Grang and Yol. Grang and Yol is new to me. I didn't even know this card was a thing, so I'll just go over it real quick. If this card's fusion summon, you could send one level 5 or higher light or dark monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. If a monster is special summoned by your opponent's activated monster effect, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one dogmatic monster from your deck or one desperate monster from your extra deck. You can only use each of its effects once per turn. So on summon, we can dump Eternity, then we can use Eternity, protect all our fusions, or say we need material, we can dump Hertz, get a Cyber Dragon, or get back like a core. That's also why Intis is in here. I had one extra space, wasn't sure what to put in. I'm just trying out Intis because you can send Intis to a Grang and Yol, pop it. Since Cartesia is a quick effect, you can actually use it as a form of interruption. Fuse Cartesia during your opponent's turn into Grang and Yol. Grang and Yol dumps Intis. Intis pops a card. Albion, obviously summon it with a light and Albaz, make a fusion. Chimera Tech, our other contact fusion. We can obviously do it off just Akiru, Altana, and of course Clockwork Knight. I would run a second one, but there's like it's very tight. Hence why we're only running one Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. I always used to run it at 2 because of duality and Nova being able to summon it. But it's doing fine at 1. We have other options should we not be able to go into this. And there's so many ways to get Chimera Tech Rampage back into the extra deck. Between Rebellion fusing our stuff back, duality being able to shuffle back from the grave, like we almost never run out of resources. And then of course Intis to pop, our Cyber Dragon Nova and Infinity, just in case we can go into them. Sometimes it comes up. It's definitely a good backup plan when our fusions haven't killed our opponent. And Almirage. I tried the deck without Almirage, but it's just too good. It's just such an easy way to get core into the graveyard or Hertz to be able to activate like Repair Plant, which can chain you into a bunch of other stuff. This is just a starter side deck down below, just trying to cover all my bases. Nibiru for combo decks, Ash Blossom for decks that need the draw, droll. Avalantis if I play against a Dragon deck or another Albaz deck, or I'm sorry, another branded deck, I can side this in and contact fuse with their stuff or my stuff. Cosmic Cyclones, Imperial Iron Wall. Yeah, it was all fun. So this is just what I started off with. I'm deciding if I want to put this on paper. I've already got most of the cards, and all right. Be aware this is post commentary. I've already recorded this because finding games was a pain in the ass. But this is us versus Sword Soul with our branded Cyber Dragon. As you see, we lost we won the rock paper scissors, but we still chose to go second. I've tried to go first with this deck, and it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. If I had gone first with this hand, I would have branded fusion into like a Mary Jade or Grang and Yol, and then I would have summoned core, searched out overflow, set 2 and passed. We're playing against Sword Soul. Obviously, the temptation to imperm the Moye is there, but I decided not to do it, and I actually turned my chaining off, and I'm just deciding I'm going to use it as a board breaker on my following turn. So now our opponent combos out. Hate that card. That card messes with Cyber Dragon core so much. Now, I know a lot of people would prefer to prevent this stuff from happening, but a lot of times a good deck is going to combo through hand traps anyway. It takes a lot for them to actually like be shut down. Usually takes 2 or 3 hand traps. I mean, the Lightning Storm in my hand could be a hand trap, but could not. So instead, we're just going to go for snapping through the board. This guy, he already made a mistake here by putting his monster in the extra monster zone. I know this thing can banish cards, but I mean, what if I just summon Cyber Dragon and just contact it away? We'd still have to deal with the rest of his field, but that's just one easy removal right there. Now he ties into that, and I was wondering why he didn't go into Baron de Fleur, but he chose to go for this guy instead, and then he went into Berserker. And now I'm like, cool, what do? He's dumping that for battle protection. Well, not protection, but you know what I mean. Reducing my monster attack. And we draw into hurts, and I'm just like, cool. So we imperm this guy, so that's so he can't banish my stuff. And we also impermed it so it can't protect itself, because it can protect itself by banishing monsters. That was the problem I had with it. Because otherwise I would have just lightning stormed it, but I didn't want him to keep the monster. Granted, even if he had kept the monster, I could have just contact fused it, but I was just like, nah, I'll just get rid of the problem. So we hit him with a lightning storm, clear his board, and we literally have to do nothing else but play Branded Fusion, and the game's over. We summon the core, technically trying to bait an Ash or an Imperm, just to make sure that our combo goes through. That was actually a misplay on my part. If I was really trying to bait, I should have went for Emergency. Play Emergency, hope for the best. But then we end up playing Branded Fusion, get our Albion play. Even though we have a Hurts in our hand, we're still going to send straight from the deck. So we send Albaz. Now we're going to send Hurts. Oh no, we send Cartesia. We wanted to send Cartesia to set up. So Cartesia also has a graveyard effect that makes her really cool. If a fusion monster is sent to your graveyard, anytime that turn, she ends up adding herself to the hand at the end of turn. And since we already had Hurts and Cyber Dragon in our hand, it was just too easy to go for the game. I figured if my opponent somehow did survive, at least I had Cartesia to get back to my hand. Now I'm going to dump 2 with Rampage, and if you actually look, that's already over 8,000 on board. We send Jizukiro because obviously we don't need it. And then we just punch for game. 400. 400 plus 63, that's 67, plus 25, 9,200. And then we also had the Cyberload Fusion with 2 materials banished. We could have fused our core with our Cyber Dragon that's banished to make a Cyber Twin. We could have had 2 more attacks. So we actually had another 5,600 on board, technically. Alright, this is game 3 of a set that I played against a Labyrinth player. I had won game 1 because he couldn't out Branded Fusion. He had won game 2 because I had misplayed, I had misused Albion and actually tried to use the effect with no monsters engraved. I saw a shiny new card, I wanted to use it. So this time we're actually going first against a Labyrinth player. So I just gave it a shot, wanted to see how I could do. We grabbed core, we actually used core to get emergency gets us core gets us repair plan. Basic Cyber Dragon play. We also have Therion King Regulus in hand, which is dope. So I'm feeling pretty good. We're going to Almirage to turn on Repair Plant to get Galaxy Soldier Hurts. You guys know the drill. Now it sucks, it's going second. We opened up Lightning Storm. It would have been dope to go second. I probably should have sided that out. The only thing I did when I sided was I sided in my Cosmic Cyclones, and it just didn't click to me that I was going to choose to go first. It was kind of a last minute decision. Otherwise I would have sided out the Lightning Storm for like hand traps or something. Maybe Ash. Now we got Galaxy Soldier. Now we ditch Cyber Dragon for Galaxy Soldier. Summon Galaxy Soldier. Special summon. Nova. I make a little bit of a misplay here. Kinda, sorta. So, obviously with Nova, you could summon back Cyber Dragon. I should have grabbed Hurts. Because if I'm going to use a negate, even though I'm going to have Therion King on board too, I'm going to use Infinity first, since I don't want to just give up the body. So if I had summoned Hurts, I could have attached Hurts to Cyber Dragon. But instead, I end up grabbing Hurts with Therion King and equipped it to Therion King. So when I use the Therion King negate, I still get to get my core back and start my plays all over. But it would have been better under Infinity. Technically, it's okay, but it just would have been a more optimal play. Now, here's where I get upset. Because our opponent decides to smack us in the face with a ball. And I was pressed. And now, but thankfully, because of Hurts, we now get our core back, so we do have follow-up for next turn. But I am so used to something like that happening and them just putting me to sleep But then I remembered he's playing Labyrinth, so he isn't going to OTK me. But now it's a grind game. We have a Lightning Storm that's dead because we have face-up cards, plus a core that can only get me so much. Granted, we have plenty of cards in the graveyard to mess around with, but God, we need a fusion spell that can fuse from the graveyard that we can search. And then we have an imperm face down, which isn't doing any favors for us right now. So now we draw. Now we got a Hertz. Now we have a little something, something. So we summon core. Core effects. I don't even remember what I searched here. I'll be right with you. We have Cyberload and Cybernetic Overflow. I believe I go with Overflow. Yeah, because I knew that I could not get the kill this turn. So I need to slow my opponent down. I need to be able to pop their stuff. I decided to contact fuse my Almirage and core just to have a bigger body on the board. Don't ask me why I put him in the extra monster zone. I don't know. But he hits us with this. This was hysterical. You need to understand how hilarious this next part was. Guys, what's in my hand and what did he just do? He just set all my monsters. So I now no longer have any face-up cards. He doesn't know I don't have any generic links, which is why he still got rid of it instead of, you know, he didn't want to give me the chance to link away the sphere. So he activated the normal trap card. Rather than popping one of my cards, he used it to special summon a card from the hand. So he tries to use this guy's effect, which gets him another trap card. And this is why I decided to imperm, because I was like, I'm not just going to let him get a free trap. Nah, I'm good. Granted, the fact that I didn't realize he can only get one that, yeah, when an attack is declared. That's why he grabs Mirror Force. So I didn't negate that. I let it happen. Because then I followed up with Lightning Storm. That's why I didn't care, because I knew I was going to pop his card regardless. He activates Compulse, and he actually bounces back to Sphere Mode, which I was okay with the Sphere Mode going back, because the way I saw it is I know he has the Sphere Mode now. I'm just never going to play 3 monsters out unless I'm putting him to sleep. So I set the Overflow. Sorry, my mouse was having issues with what's it called now? Project Ignis. But he goes. I don't know why he went to battle phase instead of just setting a card and going into end phase. I actually thought he was gonna try and evenly match me. I'm like, he's gonna evenly match me for 1 card. But now he goes main phase 2. He sets a card. I have to switch his monster to attack. I guess he wanted to switch his monster to attack and attack me, but he didn't. And then this pissed me off. It's my problem with Ignis. Obviously on end phase I would have overflowed since his trap card would no longer be able to work. I just decided to activate Overflow anyway to see if I can pop it. It works out. We banish, well, we were going to banish Cyber Dragon and probably Hertz to pop his 2 cards, and then we had a new emergency to get another core to go into another play and to see where we could go from there. This is it for the video. This is our first iteration of the deck. I haven't decided if I'm going to stick with this one 100% yet. Next video, we're going to be looking at Invoked Cyber Dragon. I know what you're thinking. You know, we need core for the normal summon. But the truth is, do we really? Like, what does our normal summon actually get us? So I might knock core down a little bit and focus more on Alistair, because a normal summon Alistair gets us Mechaba, which is also a light machine. And we can still, we're not locked into anything. So if we have the potential to summon Infinity, we can. So I'm going to try it out, see how it works. But I do really like the kill potential behind this deck, so I might keep it if I can figure out a better going first board in case I have to go first, because I don't want to be forced to go first and just immediately lose. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you guys want to check me out on social media, those links will be down below. Thanks for tuning into the series, and I hope you'll be back for the next episode. That's it from me. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.